Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the second episode of BHH series. So my name is Aline, and I'm the Chief International Officer of Barcelona Health Hub. So today we're going to talk about the deployment and impact of telemedicine in a global pandemic like the one we are living at the moment. So today I have the pleasure to be accompanied by experts in the field. So first we have Pedro Diaz, who is the General Manager of Savia, who is a digital platform of health services and a subsidiary of the insurance company Mafre. So welcome, Pedro. Then we have David Regue, who is the CEO of Doctivi, and Pablo Mas, who is the Chief Operation Officer of MeetingDoctors. So welcome, everybody. Now I'm gonna start with Pedro, if you want to introduce yourself a bit more, tell us what you do at Savia and a bit of information about what you'll be doing those past weeks in the context of the actual pandemic.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Really exciting experience to be here with all of you. I'm the General Manager of Savia. You know, here's the logo, Savia. And the fuchsia is our corporate color. We're a digital platform for health services. We are a subsidiary of Mafre, the leading insurance company in Spain. And basically, we provide telemedicine services through a platform. That is a mobile platform that can be used through apps. We are native apps in iOS and Android, but you can also access through a web service, a responsive web services. And we provide several types of online telemedicine services. For example, we have the possibility to have chats with doctor, video consultation with doctors in real time, or you can also make an appointment. Or for example, you can use a symptom checker with a virtual bot that asks you questions about your pain and then give you advice about the medical orientation about the kind of pain that you are having. We are a freemium service. I mean, some of the services I provided in a free way, but some of them are for the premium service that we have a subscription monthly fee. We have been live for more than 1 year. And the way we work is that we rely a lot in startups in the health tech arena in order to provide these services. So, for example, the service that we give regarding chat with doctors is provided by a startup, MeetingDoctors, and one of the guys from MeetingDoctors is with us today in this session. Another, the symptom checker is provided by another startup that is MeetingDoctors, that is a resident of the Barcelona Health Hub, and so on and so on. We are working currently with more than 10 different startups in the health tech arena. And the way we work with them is that they provide their services and we integrate them in a unique user experience. And we are having and getting all the data from the users in order to provide them a better experience. Well, and regarding these days, these difficult dates, COVID-19, 2 weeks ago, we decided to forget the freemium model to go completely for free. And today we are providing these digital teleconsultations with doctor services to every Spanish population who want to go for it for medical consultations regarding COVID, but also regarding any kind of health consultations. And that's all.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Pedro. David, do you want to tell us more about Doctivi?
Hello everyone. I'm David. I'm the CEO of Doctivi. We are a company based in Barcelona. We just provide software. We develop a platform for telemedicine. We start in 2015 like a technology provider for the Hospital de Nens de Barcelona. and we developed for them a platform to connect schools with the emergency department. More than 5,000 children are under this service now. On 2019, we launched our new platform that integrate video consultant and also agendas for professionals. So in the same platform, the healthcare professionals can have agendas for appointments and also video consultant. Also another functionality like all the medical devices are also integrated in the platform. So we can we can provide to the sector all the remote control patients. So people that now has this COVID, they can be at home and we can monitor all the different values from temperature, oxygen, or different equipments. So the last weeks are crazy. For us, we decide, as the same as Pedro told, we decide open our platform to all the people that want to have a telemedicine platform. So in the last 10 days, we have launched more than 15 different hospitals, public and private, to have them to provide them telemedicine services. We think that in this moment we need to put our all that we can, and we decide to do it for free and just assign all our efforts to launch new platforms. So we stop all the developments and we decide only focus on launch new platform for hospitals and clinics and, well, everyone that need in this moment a telemedicine platform.
Fantastic. Thank you, David. Pablo, do you want to tell us more about Meeting Doctors?
Thanks, Aline, and thanks for having us. Meeting Doctors was born in 2017 with the goal of playing an important role in the healthcare system. And a difference from my colleagues here is that we work in a business-to-business model. We are a company based in two pillars, technology and medical service. By technology, we develop app solutions or website solutions for our customers, always in a white label model. And or either we integrate in an existing applications also. We have also solutions for the professionals as the tool that we have for them also in a mobile app and a desktop console. And what we try also to put together with the technology is the medical service that is behind. We have a pool of more than 200 doctors from more than 10 medical specialties that we put to work through two main channels, chat and video call, for all of our customers. And I think that maybe the differential point is that we answer all the consultations that we get in less than 2 minutes, because we really think that population or citizenship now, they are calling for immediate answers, and this is what we try to provide to them. And in these days, in these difficult times, what we all share is that telemedicine is in the spotlight, and we are trying to put all the efforts, for example, working with our partners like Savia here with Pedro, or other partners, to provide more projects, more scope and more access. And the result of this is that nowadays there is more than 2 million people that can access any of our solutions right now to have a doctor answering their consultations.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for those presentations. So for those of you who are following us online, I remind you that in the chat, you can find the link to the 3 companies, and also feel free to ask questions. We're going to share those questions with the experts today. So guys, those past weeks have been a bit crazy, like a lot of disruption, and those type of services that you are offering are becoming very popular, right? Because we have to stay home, like we can leave our houses, like here in Spain. Can you share maybe some numbers or some figures about the increase in the use of telemedicine services those past week? Do you have maybe also information about the specialties that were the most asked for? Pedro, do you want to start?
Okay. In our case, the number of online consultation has multiplied 3 times from the beginning of March. And it's important to say that not every consultation are related to COVID. I mean, we calculate that only about 20% of the consultations are related to COVID. But the reality is that here in Spain, people now we have necessarily to stay at home. And perhaps you have the need to talk to a doctor, not necessarily for COVID, but for the pain that you have in your knee, for example. So you need to talk to a traumatology. So as far as you cannot go physically for a presential visit, you look for other possibilities. And that's the reason why we're increasing so much the level of online consultation. Regarding the specialties that are growing the most, at the beginning, they were GPs and pediatrics. And pediatrics, not necessarily because there's an increase in problems with kids, but you know, as far as you are a father or a mother, you are at home, and well, you are worried about your kids. So it's easy to understand that if you have easy available doctor and one click through video consultation or through chat, you do it. And we have to say that in the past weeks or in the past days, we are seeing a growing increase in the consultation in other specialties, like, for example, psychology. We think that this situation to be stuck at home all the time, 24/7, and with not a clear scenario of how much weeks we are going to have in advance, and perhaps you are okay and your family are okay, but you have relatives, your parents are older, and you are worried about that. So I think that once the time is going on, the need for this kind of specialties like psychology are of a growing interest.
Okay. David, did you experience the same? You being maybe a bit more focused on psychology, psychiatry?
Yes, I totally agree with Pedro. The difference with us is that our figures are in the number of new services that we have been implemented in the last 10 days. Okay, when I talk in services, it means new telemedicine services for hospitals, or in that case, psychiatric or psychological officers that from now before they don't have these services, and now they provide this. So my figures is more than 20 centers, new 20 centers have now telemedicine. More than 150 professionals are working with it. More than 300 appointments every day just in one of these centers is in pediatrics. Totally agree with Pedro. The pediatrics people, the children, they don't have COVID, but they need to go to the doctor. So as in Barcelona, they cannot move. So they are using the video conference to talk with the doctor. So one of our hospital here is a full gas with these services. Also, we have some requirement from the psychologic buffets or offices, because people stay at home for a long time. It's not easy. No? So they need to talk with someone, with some professionals. So they have very requests for information about people that have buffets of psychology. So this is our figures, no, from the last 10 days.
Okay. Pablo, what about you? What was your experience?
Well, pretty much in the same direction that Savia and Doctivi have experienced. Sharing our numbers, we were doing around, let's say, let's make the comparison between the before and after. We were doing around something below 100,000 online consultations, health consultations before the coronavirus. And now we are multiplying times almost 4 this figure. So it's been a really, really huge increase. As I said, we also have implemented, as David, new projects in 15 days. In 15 days of, let's say, lockdown, 10 new projects, and we have also grown with our existing projects such as Savia or Mafre or Assisa, for example, which are in our customer database. And let's say about the specialties, general practitioners, again, is the ones that are getting the most consultations from coronavirus. That in our data, pretty much the same that Pedro shared, maybe we are in the 30% of those consultations for general practitioners are on coronavirus questions. And then I would also like to add another reason for the consultation. Then there is the people that wants to go to the doctor and can't. So they are asking also the dermatologists, the gynecologists, all of the specialties have grown. And also, I would say that the citizenship, as they are in their houses, and we have a lack of information or even a misinformation with fake news, with information going and changing in a daily basis. So they also need to overtake this knowledge barrier that they have. So they are maybe asking only because of the fear of coronavirus, because of the potential situation that they could have, and they want to get some guidance, some monitoring from a professional doctor that could help them.
Okay, great. So I have a question. So maybe that's more for Savia and meeting doctors. So I was chatting to my sister-in-law yesterday. So she's a family doctor in a like small town in France. And of course, you know, the situation that they had to take action, they have to implement like type telemedicine solution, maybe Skype or FaceTime, like adapting to the situation. And she was saying that some patients are actually quite reluctant to use the video. So I was wondering, you guys who are using both like video consulting and chat messages, what's the most used? Maybe can you give us an idea? Do people go ask more questions in the chat? Do they do more videos? Is that changing? Just curious.
Pedro, you wanna go?
Yeah, I go. Okay, in our case, you know, the three most used services that we have are the chat with doctors, the symptom checker, and the video consultation. And you have to take into account that they are used for different reasons, for different kind of situations. For example, the symptom checkers, as I have said before, is provided by a artificial machine bot that asks you several questions regarding the pain that you are explaining to them. And then they provide you an orientation about the kind of pain that you could have. This usually is used for not really urgent situation, okay? And you can then consider that when you have a more urgent situation, you want to talk specifically to a real doctor. And then you have the possibility to do it by chat or by video. Here, most of the people in Savia are preferring the chat. I think that perhaps it's a question of user experience as far as to talk to a doctor through chat. Experience is like using WhatsApp, and everybody is used to use WhatsApp. Here, the difference is that it's not your friend or your family, it's a doctor. But the situation is nice. And then you can have the possibility to maintain this chat not in only 2 minutes, but you can ask different questions and continue this conversation for a longer period of time. And we also have the possibility to have a video consultation. And in video consultation, the users are also having a very good experience, but is less used in a frequency basis.
Okay. Pablo, did you experience the same?
Yes. This is something that we have studied a lot. We studied a lot before coronavirus, but also we have some data now from in the coronavirus, let's say, season. We have observed that the chat is by far more used, and more or less some of the facts that explain that Pedro has already introduced. We also observe that, for example, for a video conference, you have some boundaries. No? You need to have confidentiality. You need separate, let's say, space, no? Because you're going to speak out loud. Video call is also more demanding in terms of connectivity. It's low demanding to send a text than send a dynamic image. And then there's also an operational thing for a doctor, for a professional. We more or less study that it's healthy, sustainable to answer an average of 20 chat consultations per hour. And we think that it's healthy or sustainable to answer between 4 and 5 video calls per hour. So also in operationally wise, it makes easier for the, let's say, for the professional using the chat. But the conclusion from our side is both are important. Both are used in some part of the patient journey. And this is why we try to have them connected. And in our solutions, we try to, let's say, when you do a video call, you can immediately link that video call with that professional to a chat to, for example, do the follow-up. No, we try to combine both solutions.
Okay, great, thanks. And I would like to talk about, so telemedicine really has been around for a long time. It's nothing new, right? I think like 10 years ago, we were already talking about it. There were already solutions in place, but adoption of the solution has been a bit slow from a healthcare professional, from patient point of view. And now those past 2 weeks have been like a huge adoption has happened because there was no really other choice. So maybe do you have feedback on that, both from patient and healthcare professionals on what was their experience like trying it? David, do you want to start?
Sure. Yes, totally agree. We started with telemedicine maybe 2 years ago with the new platform, and we start working with the Hospital del Mar here in Barcelona last year in October. And I remember the phrase that the innovation director say in that moment to the rest of the team, and say telemedicine arrive. I don't know in which speed, but arrives to be here, so to stay here. So I don't know if maybe in 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, the telemedicine would be in all the centers, in all the hospitals, but we are saying right now is this the first step in the telemedicine in the Hospital del Mar. So this happened 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Right now, the discourse, no, is totally different, no. Yeah, the telemedicine is here, but now with a speed maybe 10 times the same that we have before, no. So we move forward more in 10 days than maybe in 2 years. So I think that this speed will be increased for maybe 1 month or 2 months. Then I think it will be more soft, but it will be a service that it will be implemented in all the hospitals, different healthcare officers. No.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I think that we have two dimensions. One is from the user, and the other is from the professional. From the user, I think that the user has been used to use digital services from their mobile for years, and we listen to music in our mobile, we see films in the mobiles, and we share photographs in the mobile. But there was some psychological barrier to use the mobile also for have consultations with the doctor. So we think that this COVID has been a game changer for this. So all the users are now prepared to do these kind of things, because at the end, the user experience is really the same. It's really easy. And I have seen from the professional point of view, I agree with David that there has been always a reluctancy in the medical profession to use this technology new ways to connect with the users. And again, this game changer is moving things really, really fast. One of the things that we are discovering is that a lot of doctors that are really close to Mafre, to the insurance company, are asking us now the possibility to have online consultation with people. Imagine there's a lot of doctors in Spain that unfortunately they are at their homes. They cannot physically and presentially help because perhaps they have the COVID or perhaps they are in a quarantine. So they are asking us for the possibility to attend consultations using digital media. And we are opening our platform, Savia, in order to allow these doctors that perhaps it's the first time for them to go through this kind of solutions in order to help people in this difficult situation. So it's really amazing. And I think that after this, the world will never be the same.
Totally agree, Pedro.
I would like also to totally agree with Pedro and David. I think that the change that was softer before coronavirus, the adoption was slow, but let's say the movement was driven by the users, as Pedro has said. And then there's two elements, professionals and also the industries. No, we needed that strong names, strong corporates, strong governments also trust on telemedicine, and this is happening. For example, we started working only with health insurance companies, and now we work for pharmaceutical companies. We work with and even banking companies, hospitals, or public sector. We have to think that health is not only health when I need a doctor now because I have an emergency, but health is every day is more about well-being. Health is related with nutrition. Health is related with psychology. Is related with the sleep and the rest. So we take care of that. And the coronavirus has put, I think, a tipping point here. And I think that telemedicine is going to stay for sure. And I think hospitals and all like the partners that David has, they will have to have these solutions on board, because if not, they are gonna be at the end of the line, let's say, because the one that first we were the brakes or let's say the disruption, but now it's going to be a commodity and something that everyone has to be able to use.
Okay, thank you. So now I would like, so we have a lot of questions in the chat. So let me address some of those. So one question is, so how much training does a doctor need to use telemedicine, and which type of support are you providing when they start? So David, maybe that's for you.
Well, as you can imagine, these last days, we don't have many time in training. So the only training that we give to the professional right now is just a manual, a PDF. and with some guidelines, and also online technical support, but nothing else.
But if it was not the actual situation, if we were not in a crisis, what's the normal way?
No, the normal way is that we sit with the professionals, we explain the platform, we do a training season, but only maybe 2 hours season. No, we don't require 1 day. It's just a few hours to explain the platform. In many of the situations, the problem is not the platform, to understand how it works, the platform, because the platform works very easy. The problem is the internal processes that have to change inside the organizations. So, you know, the doctors are, the normal visit is sit with the patient and have a conversation, everything. But now the things change. So they don't have the patients sit in front of them. So this change also changed the way to be or to do the visit, no? So also the internal processes, no? Well, when the appointment or the visit finish, what have to do? But it's not a problem. Also, it's not a software problem, no? It's also the internal processes that they have to redefine, and after that, you know, they can use the video telemedicine at the same way as the presential visits. So it's not a different.
Okay. Okay.
I think just adding here the thing or our duty is to explain and convince that we have to try to put traditional healthcare, or let's say put telemedicine or digital healthcare, the most similar that we can to traditional healthcare. And this concept has to flow around all the solutions that we put into the market.
Yeah, makes sense. So maybe on that line, another question. So someone is asking how they can help their clients, so clients being like doctors, medical centers, to educate their patients on the use of telemedicine. What do you think? Maybe that's more what we were discussing before, like how can we make like patients use more like telemedicine, maybe looking like forward than like in a few months using telemedicine?
I will say two things. What we are experimenting now is that the first time a user experiment this new thing, the online teleconsultation, usually in our case, 95% of the times the satisfaction is really, really high, and they pretend to continue using the service. I mean, once you have win and you have jumped the barrier of the first time, then things become easier from the user perspective. So, and well, as I have said before, the COVID is a game changer for this. So the user is now asking for these kind of services, and for sure, they will continue demanding these services after the COVID. What's the reason for this? Because about 50% of the times, the possibility to have this conversation with the doctor through chat or through video, you can have exactly the same functionality that you have in a presential visit. Of course, you cannot have physical exploration, but half of the times, more or less, and especially depending on the specialties, you don't need a physical exploration. So in this world that go so fast, so quick, that we have no time for us as users, the possibility to have this chat or this video with your doctor in order to solve your problem, it could be a better solution than even go presentially. So I think that we are not going to have a problem with the user perspective. And on the other hand, I agree with Pablo and with David that now the doctors are becoming prepared for this, and also the systems, the private companies, the hospitals, the public health system will demand or will require this kind of solutions. So things will become easier now.
Okay.
For example, Aline, if I may, just to maybe add, because when we talk about users, we are going through maybe the typical user experience of something easy, something that he wants to take out his worry about, and he asks in the different channels that he has. But the power of telemedicine even goes beyond that. For example, we think, and we are discovering this day by day, no? And for example, if we think in a chronic disease, which let's say it's one of the most complicated situations in healthcare, there's always a space, also space for telemedicine. For example, even with medical devices that are measuring the pressure, the blood, the temperature, whatever that the parameter that it is needed. And then you could do the follow-up and improve, for example, the adherence to a treatment. And that will really benefit on a patient situation, even for example, in oncology, situations that are really, really hard. Not only because maybe we are, for the people that is listening, talking to the typical situation of getting my phone and asking something and getting the answer quickly, but also in the most heavy or most difficult situations in medicine, there's always a little part that is also part of the solution in the telemedicine side.
Okay. So yeah, I think that's something you just touched on. That's a question that we had. So that's a bit when you're at home, you don't have the doctor in front of you, and how can they check like your heartbeat and your blood pressure? Now, if you maybe add a bit on that.
I would say that what it is needed then is an integration with a medical device, which is something that we will agree that is a bit more difficult than only a communication platform, but it is already done. There are a lot of even Spanish startups that are really doing really well. For example, with diabetes. Diabetes is a huge amount of people, and it's a chronic disease. No? And there's other situations like that I think the combinations of having the medical device that the user by himself or herself has to, let's say, apply, and then this data is shared with a platform, and this platform also allow you to chat with a doctor, to comment on this data. This is the real solution. We are talking, for example, with cardiologists, for people that has heart disease, with diabetes, and we have to work on that. I think that there is not yet a really finished or final solution, but we are working, for example, in some of these projects now. I think that would be needed.
Well, regarding the medical devices, we are already integrate with some medical devices, our platform, and we have this last day a huge demand of these services. We only have one problem, is that there are not units in the market. So all the providers broken the stocks, so there are no thermometers, there are no tensiometers, there are nothing. See, if you have one medical device at home, now is a treasure. So you can buy in eBay. It's huge. It's crazy. So our provider, we talked the last days with them, and no one have any unit. So they ask for new units in China, and maybe we need to wait for 1 month. So we know that if we have this medical device right now, we could help many people, because some of these medical devices are critical right now to follow patients that are at home, or the same as the doctors that are already at home because maybe they have a virus right now. No? So it's a pity that we don't have a medical device right now, but I think when these days, these moments have passed, we are going to explore about all these kind of solutions that by sure is going to be implemented in a few time.
Yeah, I agree. There's like solution like a company, Israeli company called Taito Care. It's like a device that you have at home, and you can take different vitals, and this is shared directly with the doctors. So solution like that. I think also the beauty of the telemedicine, that's the conversation, and if my sister know yesterday as well, that some patients are afraid to actually see the doctor, right? Like use the video to see the doctor. But by doing that, the doctor can actually see things, you know, the way you look, the way you stand. That can give them actually some tips, even if you don't have like wearables at home. But here you've got some answers already. So I think it's
Yeah.
okay.
I will also add regarding the wearables that we are talking a lot about the really complex medical devices, but you can also think that to have that the wearables, the digital watches, for example, are an example of, well, they are not medical devices, but they have a lot of possibilities to measure your physical activity and different things of your body. If you consider, for example, the new iWatch, and you see the features of the new iWatch, you ask yourself, this is a watch or is this a medical device? So, but in any case, in this critical situation, what usually doctors do is that, okay, do you have a medical device with you? Do you have the possibility to measure your temperature? And well, these kind of things, of course, is not as exact as having a medical device, but it can be the same conversation that you have when you go presentially to the physical visit with the doctor and you say, okay, I had a flu yesterday and I have temperature.
And also in that direction, having the conversation in a chat, for example, this has another advantage that we haven't commented on, is that everything gets, let's say, copied in a historical record. This, if you always compliant with the GDPR and getting this information anonymized, you can also track all this data. For example, think about more than 200,000 consultations. Put all that together. So maybe we are taking trends of when we are getting more patients and when we are, which are the days of the week that people gets more ill, even or the ages of people that are more related with, I don't know, contagions. So you have a lot of data to work on, and it's really useful for the health industry as a whole.
Absolutely, yeah. Would like to come back to, so one question specific on COVID I was asking in the chat. So someone's asking, how do you think telemedicine can help someone with having symptoms of COVID? Like what the doctor can tell you to do? I don't know. Do you have a bit more information about that?
I will say that the first thing that we are experimenting that will help in things related to COVID is managing the anxiety of the user. One of the bad things of this is not related to the epidemiology reasons, but with the stress and with the anxiety that people is having. And the possibility to talk to a real doctor through chat or through video or through phone gives our users a lot of peace. And I think that, well, perhaps you can say that this is not clinical, but I think, yes, it is, because here the brain is really important. And that will be the first. And the second, the possibility to have, for example, an auto check. In Savia, one of the things that you can do it by yourself is to have an online auto check-in regarding if the symptom that you are having could be relevant regarding COVID or not. And again, we also we all the time, depending on the things that you are telling to me, are advising what is the next thing that you have to do. And here, of course, all the protocols that we follow are the same that are provided by the public health system, and we are fully integrated with them.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. I think a bit is the same. I think the first word for the doctor in these days is empathy with the user. It's a really difficult situation. So, and we had some feedbacks from doctors, for example, that they say, we want doctors, there is a vocational job. They want to help. As Pedro said, not every one of them is able now because of maybe quarantines or whatever to help in the first line. So at least they are helping. They are part of the solution. I think an important thing is that doctors that are doing online consultations, they have to be extremely rigorous in the protocols. So we are always updating the protocol because it's changing day by day. So this is another part that's important. And I think that obviously in the coronavirus, we cannot do it, but outside the coronavirus, the digital health has a really strong power to link with an adequate physical medicine later. So we have different ways or different channels to say, okay, if you are in this situation, the best thing you could do is go to this specialist, and providing a direct link with the specialist with a calendar. So we could put all together. These are not isolated things, but we work on trying to put those two sides of healthcare together.
Okay. So now I would like to talk a bit about if we move a bit from the actual situation, from the pandemics, COVID. So last week, our first BHH series was on the like impact of digital health in the healthcare system. So I would love to get your opinion. Like, we're talking in general, where do you see the benefits of digital health in the healthcare system? David, do you want to start?
Yes, sure. Well, I think the benefit is more clear now than maybe two or 3 weeks ago. No, for us maybe it was clear already, but for the public in general, or all the collective from the medical professional. Right now, I think they agree that the telemedicine, it's a solution, it's a services that they have to move on. No? I think after the COVID, I think that the speed is not going to be the same, of course, but it will be the same the way. So the way is that the telemedicine will be implemented in all the places. And from the point of view of the patients, they will demand a service that they have not to go to the hospital. Maybe if we need to do a small visit, or a not critical visit, no? So I think the telemedicine for sure will be in all the places in maybe in 1 year. No? It's taking time to do it in a good way. Yeah? Right now, we are just implemented things because it's a crisis moment, no? But after the COVID, we will have more time to do it better and with more functionalities, and we explain more the things to the doctors and the patients, and everybody can communicate that this service is on place in the different clinics or hospitals. Now we don't have time. So now that we implemented the solution, and the doctors start visit with the telemedicine, but they don't have a main communication, external communication campaign or nothing. We don't have time now, no? So I think after the COVID, we will have all of us time to do the things well known, no?
I guess it's great for companies like you who have solution at the moment, because so many people are using your solution at the moment. They can get feedback on the actual solution and improve the solution in a few months when everything is over, right?
Yeah. Well, I will say here that the telemedicine has been with us for years. Until now, we had a range of early adopters, and I'm talking about users, that were happy with the service. So I think that the services regarding telemedicine are mature enough. And that's the reason why we are demonstrating in this crisis this day that we are a really helpful services that it's able to help a lot of people. For me, the main difference is this, is we are becoming from a world from early users to a world where the mass of users are really prepared, are really experimenting the good things about telemedicine. So after this, all of these guys will demand to the public system and to the private system the possibility to have remote consultation with the doctors. And this will drive the change for sure.
Yeah, agree.
And if we think about the concrete benefits that you were asking for the telemedicine, in our opinion, I think that if we think global, I think we see it even stronger. No, the benefits. For example, we know that public health systems are overwhelmed and they have a risk of collapsing. So this is a strong tool. Telemedicine is a strong tool to make more efficient this. This is in a global perspective, but we are experiencing that in Spain and in our small neighborhood also. No? And we would like also to think, or we try to think a lot. For example, do not think about Madrid, Barcelona, or Spain. For example, think about Africa, or think about the largest cities or the most populated cities like Mexico City, for example. For a single user to go to a doctor, it is really, really difficult. For the time they take to go to the doctor, for the traffic jams, for the level of their public healthcare system, it's really difficult. And to make all the traditional medicine improve, it's always a goal, but it's really difficult. But but if we think about putting some online solutions, this is by far easier and faster to implement. So I think that globally, this is going to be implemented in a massive way in the next years.
Okay.
Yeah, don't forget the remote areas. No? We used to think in main cities, no, Barcelona, Madrid, or other capitals, but there are a lot of people living in small towns along from the hospital. No? So for these people, these solutions is basic. So I think at the end, I think the governments, the local governments, will improve these services to all the population that live in the small countries, or small towns. Sorry, because they cannot drive maybe 2 or 3 hours to go to Barcelona to visit a doctor, and then to have a 10 minutes visit and then back 2 or 3 hours back home. No. So these solutions for sure are coming and are here and will be here for forever. No?
That's a very important point. Yeah. I've got one question from the chat. I think it's very, very interesting. They're asking, is the app connected to any pharmacy store where you can prescribe and then collect the drugs directly?
If I may, I think it's a really good question. And how we see telemedicine is connected with pharmacy. From one side, because online prescription is something that is already in place in several countries, such as Germany, for example. We are working on that in Spain, which is something that is always attached to those pathologies that we think it's prudent with a remote consultation to provide prescription, and that has to be really rigorous. But this is going to come in the next months, for sure. Also, at least from the part of meeting doctors. And another part that we connect with pharmacies is that those communication platforms in terms of healthcare, they don't necessarily have to be user and let's say patient and doctor. We can also connect, for example, pharmacist and doctor, or doctor with doctor, to share best practices, to be in touch and help one to each other. And we also work on that model. So in the end, you are making the link between 2 points, and you can choose who is in each one of those points. No.
Great. Pedro, David, do you want to add something to that?
Fully agree with Pablo. I mean that in the next months, 2 weeks ago, we will say in the next years, we will see online prescription being a commodity here, almost in Spain. I mean, here the regulation is in each country or in each continent. In the European Union, the restrictions are really hard. But again, the COVID has come here to change things. And I think that in the next months, we will see that this is a usual practice. And of course, it's part of the vertical integration that we will have as a online remote consultation. It's really easy to link this to the online prescription.
Okay. Okay, so now as a final concluding note, I would like to ask you, so imagine that you're talking, so maybe we've got some people who are listening to us today, and they're a bit skeptical, afraid of using video consultation or chat with doctors. What would you tell them to convince them to use those different solution services?
Okay, can I start?
Yeah.
Well, I will say that you user, you guy that you are at home, stuck at home these days, perhaps with more time than in other occasions, why don't you try? Let's try to talk to an online doctor, and you have several platforms that these days are working for free in order to give you advice, in order to help you, in order to avoid that you go to a physical consultation, that it is not a good idea these days. I can assure you that you are going to be satisfied with this first experience. And then if you are satisfied, please take this as an usual practice for you. You will like it.
Well, I think the message is the same as Pedro. Is try the service, try for everything is a first time, no? So always it was the first time for use WhatsApp, is the first time for use Zoom, or it's for first time to drive a car, no? Now for people that is the first time to try the telemedicine, I think is going to do a very satisfied experience, not only in the part of the patients, also in the part of the professional. There are many professionals that maybe are some aware of the telemedicine. I think they are going to try, and they forget all the thinking that they had before the telemedicine, no? So from the two sides, they will think that these solutions will be here, and it's a service that is going to be implemented forever, no?
Yeah, well, more or less in the same line, but I would say the positive part of the situation for those ones that are skeptical is that maybe it's gonna be their first time, but they are not gonna be the first ones. So I would recommend, don't listen to us, because it's easy that we sell the solution, but please listen the ones that have already tried. So just go to the stores, you go and see which is the judgment that the user have done of the telemedicine tools. Just check what other professionals are saying about the usage of those tools, and then take the chance, because I think telemedicine is part of the solution.
Great, thank you so much for all those advice. Well, so thank you for being here today, for sharing your knowledge, your expertise with us. Thank you everybody being home for joining the event, for asking so many questions. We will be back next week, so the 8th of April. The session will be 5:30, this time a bit later. And it will be, we're gonna talk about mental health. So how to stay mentally healthy in a confinement period and a crisis period. And very happy to announce that we can have the General Manager of Health of Headspace joining us next time, and other great speakers. So thank you very much. Stay home and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.